Hello everyone. Today we are going to start with a very important topic, that is the preamble of our Indian Constitution. As you all know, that preamble is an introduction to our constitution, and all the features, the vision of our constitutional makers can be seen in the text of the preamble. So let's get started. As you can see, the text of our preamble, let's read out the text and then one by one we will understand all the important terminologies used and what is the meaning of that. So, the text of the preamble says, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure all its citizens what justice, what kind of justice, social justice, economic justice, political justice, and to give all its citizens liberty, liberty of thought, liberty of expression, liberty of belief, faith, and of worship. And the motive of our constitution is to spread equality, equality of status, equal opportunity to everyone, and to promote the notion of equality among all citizens. And the motive of our constitution is to spread brotherhood, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individuals and the unity and integrity of the nation. As you all know, that the Constituent Assembly that was formed to draft our constitution had completed its task on the 26th November 1949, and on that day our constitution was signed and adopted. But it was not enacted immediately, and later it came into full implementation on 26th of January 1950, because on the same day in 1929, in the Lahore session of Indian National Congress, for the first time the mission of India was to attain Purna Swaraj was declared by Pandit Nehru. So, in order to commemorate the victory of that day, our constitution makers prefer to enact our constitution on 26th of January. Now, after reading the text, now let's discuss one by one all important points, some important points before we will begin the discussion on all important topics. That, as you know, that Indian Constitution is a borrowed constitution. We took many features of constitution from different sources. So, even the preamble is one of those borrowed feature, and we took this feature from the American Constitution. And American Constitution is the first constitution of the world that starts from the preamble. Preamble means an introduction, and as I just said, that this text of preamble is actually based on a objective resolution that was moved by Pandit Nehru in the Constituent Assembly. Nehru wants to make sure, he just wants to confirm that before starting the work on the drafting of Indian Constitution, he wants to make sure that the Indian Constitution makers make sure some visions, some features that should be there in our Constitution. So he drafted this text of the preamble. And what does it reflect? Preamble reflects the dreams of our constitutional makers. It reflects the aspirations, the vision of our constitution makers. And it was once amended in the year 1976 by the 42nd Amendment, which is also famously called the mini constitution of the world, because plenty of changes were done in this constitution amendment, and three new words were added to our constitution: socialist, secular, and integrity. We'll discuss about all these terms in detail in the next slide. And for your all information, our preamble is non justiciable, it is non enforceable in a court of law. Okay, so I hope this introduction might be clear to everyone. And now, one by one, we will read the text of our preamble and try to understand the meaning of each and every important term which is used, because the questions will be asked from these points only. Okay, so now let's start. So our constitution starts from the phrase "we the people of India." So this phrase actually reflects the source of our constitution. As you know, India is a democratic country, and in a democracy the people actually enjoys the greater number of power. It is the people who delegates their power to the representatives who take most of the decision on everyone's behalf. So we the people of India actually reflects the source of our constitution, that what gives power to our constitution, the people of India. It is the people of India that 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 gives power to our constitution. So this is the source of our constitution. What is the source? People of India. And what is the nature of our constitution? Our constitution is sovereign, our constitution is socialist, our constitution is secular, our constitution is democratic and republic. So what is the meaning of sovereign? As you know, that India was colonized by the Britishers, and we fought a long war for independence. So as soon as we got independence, the very first thing we want to make sure and confirm to the the other world that India now is a sovereign nation. Sovereign nation means India is now an independent country. India is no more bound by the rules, by the authority of any other colonial power. India is now a free country. So we declare in our constitution as India is a sovereign country. India is an independent state. India can take any decision of its own. India can implement any policy without the interference of other. So now a question arises in parliament that though India is a sovereign country, but is also a part of many multilateral organizations like United Nations, like Commonwealth countries. And being a part of these organizations, sometimes we are bound to agree uh, to implement certain laws that are applicable on all. So does it compromise the sovereignty of India? Does it forces India to surrender its sovereignty? So Pandit Nehru said no. Participation or being a part of any multilateral organization does not compromise the sovereignty of India. India is a part of these organizations out of its own will. Nobody has forced us to be a part of Commonwealth nation or to be a part of United Nations. Okay, so India is a sovereign country. I hope the meaning is clear. Now let's come to the second point. Second is socialist. What is the meaning of socialist? See, socialist is actually a word that is linked to a philosophy called socialism. Socialism means reduction of inequality. Socialism means spreading equality amongst all the citizens of a particular country. Though this word was added in 1976 by the 42nd Amendment, but our but one can say that even before the addition of this word, the philosophy of socialism was already inherent to our constitution, because when you read directive principles of state policies, that is DPSPs, under article 36 to 51, they talk about the welfare of the society. They talk about how government can do take some initiative for spreading equality amongst all the citizens. So that is the reason that one can say DPSPs, they are like the socialist principles. But when the word was added, many questions many accusations were raised that are you trying to follow the same principle of Lenin socialism? Because in USSR, the experiment of socialism was first conducted, where all the resources were took over by the government, and in a truly socialist country there is no allowance of a private property, where all resources are enjoyed by are taken over by the government. So Indira Gandhi, then the Prime Minister of India, replied that no, India is not going to apply Lenin philosophy of socialism. Rather, we will going to apply the Gandhian philosophy of socialism. Okay, Gandhian philosophy of socialism talks about the upliftment of the rural masses. It talks about the development of the rural areas, development of the unprivileged section of society. That is the reason we have all the major services provided by the government. We have the government schools, government transportation, and most of the facilities, and they all are there just to spread the notion of equality. Okay, those who cannot afford the expensive medical expense, they can go to the government hospital. Those who cannot afford to go to the private schools can go to the government school. So India is a socialist country where government plays an active role in providing services, but at the same time it does not restrict even the private players to offer same amount of services. Okay, so India is a blend, and one can say India actually implements Fabian socialism as well. Next is the secular. So secular, India is a secular country. The word was added by the 42nd amendment in 1976, and though this word was added, but even before the addition, one can say India inherently is a secular country, because when you read article 25 to 28, it talks about the freedom of religion. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, we have already come to the next slide. So in the next slide, we have the word democratic. Democracy, India is a democracy, huh? And in democracy, as I already explained, that there is a great participation of the people of that country. So once Abraham Lincoln said about democracy, that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So that's actually truly represents the nature of Indian constitution, huh? We the people of India, people, participation of people, because India is a democratic country, and India declared itself as a democratic country, huh? We are not autocracy, है ना? We are not governed by any hereditary ruler, but the ruler is elected by the people of India. Next is the Republic. Our constitution is a republican constitution. Why? Because the head of the country, that is the president of India, who is a nominal head, is not a hereditary monarch like a case of England. Because in England, the king, the queen are the ones who have you can say an authority to remain on that post as the head of the state, because they are hereditary monarchs. But in India, the head of the state, that is the president, is not a hereditary monarch. It is not a king, है ना? There is no one particular person who can claim that post. Rather, the position, the public offices are open to all the citizens of India without any discrimination. So our head is an elected head. Our head is not someone who has been nominated or who has been there as a hereditary monarch. Our country is run on the republican model. So you can read uh, article 54, 55, where president is indirectly elected by the people of India. So the you can say the election, the process of electing a president in India confirms that India is a republican country. Okay, next important is topic is justice. As you know, Indian constitution is a borrowed constitution. So the Notion of justice, philosophy of justice is taken from Russian Revolution of 1917. But what kind of justice is confirmed by Indian Constitution? Three type: social justice, economic justice, political justice. Social justice means that equal treatment of all citizens without any discrimination on the basis of color, race, caste, sex, and religion, and absence of any privileged class or a particular class, है ना? There is no advantage that is given to any, there is no privilege or extra treatment given to any particular section of society, and there is no discrimination that is done to anyone. And our constitution confirms that government will constantly work for the improvement in the condition of the backward classes and the women. So you can read Article 14, Article 15, that confirms social justice to our citizens. The next is the economic justice. Economic justice means non-discrimination between the people on the basis of economic factors. And there is no discrimination between the people that our law make. And law is equal in eyes of the court, and equal justice is delivered to both poor as well as the rich. And there is elimination of inequality. Government always wants to end inequality, inequality of wealth, inequality of income, and inequality of property. And the final is political justice, where all citizens are equal in eyes of the laws, and they all enjoy equal political rights. Nobody is barred from you can say from voting, or you can say that nobody is barred from taking part in any election process. There is equal political right given to all citizens of India, and all the political office are are open to anyone who is eligible, meet all the eligibility requirement, can contest an election. So in India we have political justice system as well, where all the political office are open for everyone. Let's come to the next slide. Now, the next is liberty. The philosophy of liberty has been taken from French Revolution of 1789. And from French Revolution, we took three important principles: equality, liberty, and fraternity. So, as one can read, preamble assures, secures liberty, liberty of thought, liberty of expression, liberty of belief, liberty of faith, and of worship. है ना? It guarantees you to express your thoughts freely. It guarantees you to believe on your faith, to worship your religion freely, to to believe on your religion freely. But this right is not absolute. Liberty does not mean that you got a license to do whatever you like to do in India. No, it comes with reasonable restrictions. Okay, you can express your thoughts freely, but you cannot harm the integrity of India. You cannot uh, uh, disbalance the public order, है ना? You cannot demean any other person. You can freely worship your religion, but you cannot force anyone to convert into your religion. So this is the meaning of liberty, which is not absolute, but that comes with some restrictions. Okay, so Indian Constitution confirms liberty. And next is equality. Equality, as I just explained before, it means absence of any special privilege to any section of society. As you can read Article 14, equality before law, equal protection of law. So everyone is equal in the eyes of law. Equal opportunities would be given to every section of society to end discrimination. Okay, and the preamble secures three types of equality. First is civic equality. As I said, Article 14, equality before law. Huh? In the eyes of law, everyone is equal. Article 15, that prohibit that no one would discriminate with anyone on the basis of religion, caste, sex, and place of birth. If you belong to any religion, you would not be discriminated. If you belong to any caste, you would not be discriminated. Article 16 confirms that in the public employment, equal opportunities would be given to every single citizens of India. And Article 17 is an absolute article. There is no reasonable restriction that ends untouchability, that puts a ban on untouchability. You cannot practice untouchability because untouchability had been you can say uh, had been there in India, but now it has been abolished by the Constitution of India. And Article 18 abolish titles, है ना? It does not allow you to to use any special titles before your name, okay, or after your name as a prefix or a suffix. Then political equality. Political equality means no one is ineligible for inclusion in the electoral roll on the ground of religion, race, caste, or sex. No one would stop you to cast your vote. No one would stop you to enjoy your political right. And all these things are mentioned under Article 325, that all people of religion, race, caste, and sex would be given equal opportunity to enjoy their political right. Article 326 confirms Lok Sabha and State Assembly election are based on adult franchise. Okay, above 18 years of age people are eligible to cast vote, and there is no discrimination. It is universally applicable in India. And finally is economic equality. Economic equality is confirmed by Article 39, that gives equal right to adequate means of livelihood and equal pay for equal work to both men and women. Okay, there would be no discrimination made between a male and a female if they are doing the same work. Okay, come to the next slide. Fraternity. Idea of fraternity is also has also been taken from French Revolution. Okay, and fraternity means spreading the notion of brotherhood. Okay, you need to spread brotherhood throughout the country. And Article 51A, that adds a fundamental duty. So it is a fundamental duty of every citizen of India to spread brotherhood, to bring harmony. Okay, and to and to bring harmony. How how because you need to spread brotherhood. So fraternity means that you need to work for the unity and integrity of India. And this word, dignity of personality of every individual is sacred, and it is assured. And this word integrity was also added by 42nd amendment. Okay, so why fraternity is needed? To secure integrity of India, and this word integrity was added by 42nd amendment. But though it was added by 42nd amendment, but this was already inherent, because under DPSPs, under fundamental rights, under fundamental duties, it is obvious that one needs to spread brotherhood. And then final thing is unity of Trinity. Unity of Trinity says equality, liberty, and fraternity, they are not isolated. They all come together. They are linked with each other. Without equality, liberty would produce the supremacy of the few over the many. Okay, without equality, some people would become more privileged over the other. So equality without liberty would kill individual initiative. So all should come together. There is no separation between equality, liberty, and fraternity. So finally, arouse some question that is preamble a part of our constitution? So there are two important judgments given by Supreme Court. One is the Berubari Union case of 1960, where Supreme Court initially denied and said that preamble is not a part of our constitution. But Supreme Court overruled its own judgment in the famous case of Kesavananda Bharti of 1973, and Supreme Court said preamble is a part of our constitution as well as a part of basic structure, okay, that can never be amended, eroded, deleted from our constitution. Okay, so I hope uh, this lecture gives you the clarity about our preamble. If you like this lecture, please press the like button, subscribe our channel, and in the description box my contact number is given. If anyone wants to take any notes, any further classes, you can directly contact on my number. And if anyone need any notes, you can ping me on that number. I will give you the PDFs of all topics that you want to prepare for. So thank you so much. Thanks for watching my video. Do subscribe us. Thank you.